Following a win over Paige VanZant on Fight Island and a handful of interviews afterwards that she really showed her bubbly personality, a lot of people saw Amanda Ribas as someone who could potentially be a future star in the UFC's 115-pound division. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the whole sequence from her taking Paige VanZant down to her eventually getting the armbar finish. This is not going to be one continuous video just for copyright reasons, so if you're expecting to see the full video, this is not the video for you. There's going to be a lot of stops. I'm just going to kind of go step by step through the entire process from her getting the takedown to her then getting the armbar and then finishing the armbar. So that's effectively what you're going to be seeing here. So if that's what you want to see, great, stick around. We'll go step by step through Amanda Ribas getting the finish. If that's not what you want to see, then I guess this isn't the right video for you. The reason I'm bringing that up now is because the last Paige VanZant video I did with her fighting Rachel Ostovich, I think a lot of people expected to see a little bit more action there, given that it was one of those hot girl fights, and this is another hot girl fight, so to speak. So if that's what you're expecting, this isn't the video for you. So moving along, one of the things that I noticed from Amanda Ribas in her striking is that she did a really good job with her footwork in terms of keeping Paige VanZant up against the cage. Did a really good job of sidestepping and heading her off. And eventually she was able to get her up against the fence here and get her into a clinch position. So again, steps to the side rather than following her. So PVZ is going to try to throw a kick here. And then from there, Ribas is going to come in, get a Muay Thai clinch, land a couple nice knees. And then right here, she's actually going to go over top of the whizzer. And the ref's in the way here, but she's actually going to bring her leg across and go for a trip. She's not going to land this trip this time. The trip that she did land was a little bit different, but it was the same idea where she's trying to drag Paige VanZant's upper body over in this direction to the right of Ribas, and then she's trying to trip over top of the far leg or Paige VanZant's left leg. So here you can see Paige VanZant's left leg. Ribas is trying to drag her over top of the leg to get a throw. In this case, didn't have a ton of upper body control. Her hands weren't connected. Just kind of had a high overhook on the left side, and on the right side was trying to pull down at the head, but didn't really have her grip here. So Paige VanZant's able to defend, lands a couple shots. Ribas then re-engages. So again, has an underhook. Is going to actually switch it though. Actually, I guess it's technically on the right side. She just got turned around here. But has the overhook with the left arm, or is over top of the left arm, has the underhook with the right arm, and is going to switch this to being more of like a headlock position. So goes around the neck. And then again from here is trying to drag Paige VanZant's weight over top of her left leg as she blocks the left leg. And this time she's going to be successful and actually get the throw. So tosses her down here and ends up in a scarf hold / kesikatami position. And for a while, this fight's going to stay in this position. So she's going to hang here for a bit. And it's a bit of a dangerous spot for Ribas. So if you're doing judo or jiu-jitsu, this is a good position to be in just because you can kill some time here. It's sort of tough to advance. You kind of have to be careful because if you mess up, you can expose your back. But if you're getting a takedown, it's good to hold the position and score your points. But for MMA, Ribas is going to have to be careful not to give up her back here, and that was something that Paige VanZant was looking for. So here you can see Paige VanZant doesn't have the underhook on the left side, but on the right side it actually is an underhook position. So underneath the armpit. And what we're going to see here is VanZant is going to try to get up on her side and get around and get to Amanda Ribas's back. Ribas is going to look to shelf the head of Paige VanZant here to keep her from slipping out. Does a good job of grabbing her own thigh here and then hooking underneath the head to keep VanZant from bridging. So here it just goes for an elbow, but then goes right back to that shelf. Here you can see Paige VanZant's looking to kick off the fence, throw her leg around, even get a hook to pull herself around and take the back. But again, shelving the head is a big detail here in terms of keeping Paige VanZant from getting a full bridge here and being able to take the back. But that's what Paige is trying to do. So this is about as close as Paige gets here. Within this moment, it looks like Paige is in a decent spot. If you get your head free, you can probably throw a leg around, get a hook. That's one of the dangers of kesikatami, but again, Amanda Ribas, I believe, is a black belt in judo, is very familiar with the position and knows how to keep a hold of it. So again, keeps a tight hold on the head so Paige isn't able to sneak through. But Paige is going to keep trying to sneak through regardless. Ribas is sort of picking her shots here. And one of her other options in terms of submissions is that when you are in a scarf hold position, a popular move is to attack this arm here, which is Paige VanZant's left arm. If you break the grip and then bring your right leg over the top, you can sort of get into like an Americana type of position with your legs, and it's really powerful. It doesn't look like that was something that Ribas was looking for, but that's an option that is available from that position. But for the most part, Ribas was just trying to control the position and not get her back taken here. So again, an attempt for Paige VanZant to throw in a hook. Ribas is going to clear it. So they continue to go from here. Much of the same battle. Again, Paige is trying to take the back. Ribas is controlling the head. Shelving the head here, keeping her hand on the inside of her thigh to keep Paige VanZant from bridging off of her head. So again, more of the same. You start to see some blood come out of the nose of Ribas. I think this was actually when she landed the throw. When Paige bounced off of the canvas, she might have had something hard hit Ribas in the nose. So it was sort of accidental in that way, but it did cause some blood and ended up dripping a bunch of blood on her top. But again, still shelving the head and keeping Paige VanZant from squirming her way out, but that's what she's trying to do here. Sort of settling in. There was another elbow, and that was a bit of a mistake, but she actually ends up making up for it. So by throwing that elbow, it gives Paige VanZant a chance to escape her head and really get closer to taking the back. But from here, you're going to see a really quick adjustment by Ribas, and that's what's going to set up the armbar. So she's actually initially, and that was a small little detail there, there's a throw in judo called an uchimata where you stick your inside leg in between your opponent's legs and sort of lift up to get their hips up. So she did that quickly and then throws her leg over the top from there. So she's kicking off with her right foot as well, but the left leg is the one that's being thrown over the top, and it's going to go over top of the shoulder. So here you go. So that leg is over top of the shoulder, sort of hard to tell, but she does have the arm isolated here. Paige looks to go back into her, and this is actually relatively good defense by Paige. You want to really pressure into your opponent here and stack into them, but really good job by Ribas. First off, she's going to frame away at the head with her hand here, but she's going to get her leg in the way after framing away with the hand and do a fantastic job with that leg. So we get the leg thrown in front. So typically in this position, if you're pressuring in this tight, there's a decent chance you're going to be able to get out. But Ribas is going to do a fantastic job of keeping a hold of the arm, so Paige isn't able to pull it out, but also by pressuring on Paige's head and pushing her head back away from her, it's going to create some space for her to open up for that armbar. So I really want you to pay attention to the angle of Paige's neck, how it's ideally her posture is going to be straight up, but here you can kind of see the neck cuts up and then back in this direction, showing that her head is getting pushed back, and Amanda Ribas is doing a really effective crossface with her leg effectively. So again, Paige's head is being pushed away here. This is creating space. The arm is still trapped in there. Now we're starting to get a little bit more extension here. Eventually, Ribas is going to belly down on this. But again, this pressure on Paige's head is enormous. It is I wouldn't say it's the only reason, but it's the main reason why Amanda Ribas is able to get the finish here. The pressure that she's able to put on Paige's head and on her neck as well is just a gigantic part of this armbar. So again, pressing away. We still see Paige's neck at that angle where it's straight and then back. So again, normally her head's going to be facing down this way and her eyes will be looking this way. Rather, her head's pulled back and her eyes are facing out. So again, a ton of pressure here by Ribas, pressing out, creating space here. Now is able to extend. Now the arm is straight. And at this point, Ribas just needs to find a way to hip in. So she's actually going to turn over onto her belly. Turns over, has the arm hooked underneath. This is sort of like a really tight knee bar position as well as the same type of grip where you're hooking in the armbar or hooking in the armpit. So it's not as though she's like grabbing at Paige's hand. It's more so that it's just trapped in the armpit. And then she's just going to hip down and extend out. Paige is going to try to roll through, but ultimately at this point, she's way too deep in there. And you can kind of see by the angle, like for Paige's arm to be pointed this way, for her hand to be pointed this way, when her shoulder is down here, that's really tight. That's nasty. I don't know how injured Paige was from this armbar, but your arm is not meant to bend that way. So she's going to try to roll through, but ultimately she's not going to be able to, and ends up tapping because, again, her arm is just at an absolutely mangled angle here. So fantastic job by Amanda Ribas. Really good jiu-jitsu there. Gets a nice throw off of her judo, and then from there, really solid in the Kesugatami position. Doesn't get her back taken. Makes a bit of a mistake that gives Paige a chance to do it, but then in that scramble is able to catch the armbar. Great TTL with her being able to pressure on Paige VanZant's head and keep that neck just sort of like pointed back at a backward angle pretty much the entire time before she was able to extend out the arm fully, then go belly down and then get the finish. So great job by her. 4-0 in the UFC now, has wins over Mackenzie Dern, now has a win over PVZ, has a win over Ronda Marcos, and I'm not sure who her other win was over, but things are looking good for her. She's probably going to be in the top 15 sometime soon, and will likely be facing some top competition sometime soon because I think the UFC sees her as a future star.